Shall I say good afternoon or good morning? I have no idea what time it is. I just know it's Sunday. I think it's probably afternoon. So, how are you guys doing, by the way? Don't mind me. I'm just eating my breakfast before I get started or as I start. I saw this video. It's funny. I always see funny videos on social media. But I just started following Kendra G. And she's like I think she's a radio personality. She's African American. And she has like this matchmaker service that she does for free on her Instagram page. But she was talking about, I guess, a video that she made, which I saw a short clip of the video. It was hilarious where this guy had come up on her live stream. I think he was searching for a partner, right? She has this thing where if you're looking for a partner, you're single, you can come on her live stream and you can say the characteristics that you look for in a partner, and you can talk about what you bring to a relationship so that she can match you with someone. And how the match process works is that you basically promote yourself and people come to your inbox and hit you up, right? So there was this guy, he said that he wouldn't like for his partner to be eating a banana. Something to the effect of like, I don't want my partner eating a banana in public. My woman can't be eating a banana at work. No, he didn't say she couldn't. He said that she has to be careful on how she does it, right? She has to take note of how she... I thought that was hilarious, y'all. Hilarious. So in this video, I'm going to talk about ways to motivate your partner, especially if you have a partner who is like closed down to alternative sexual activities, right? How to motivate your partner or increase their interest in participating in alternative sexual activities. And before we get started, I do want to read some comments that were left on a video that I made over a year ago. I'm going to sit this right here on my little buddy here. And make sure you got my buddy at the end of the video. You want to be on camera? Alright. We're going to have fun in this video. And by the way, like, I think it should go without saying, right? But this video is for mature audiences only. There are people who get on my video, right, and they think they know me somehow. And then they start like, it's like they're interested in what I'm talking about, but then they cast judgment, right? They'll say things like, oh, I like that you're a freak. I'm like, freak? I'm not a freak. I am not a freaking freak. I'm a woman who's very comfortable in her sexuality and very secure in being able to openly discuss taboo topics. Doesn't make me a freak. You know what a freak is? A freak, I looked the definition up today, right? A freak is a person who does something, who behaves in an irrational way, in a wild way. I'm not that. Don't call me a freak. This person called me wild yesterday. I'm not wild. How am I wild? I think I'm a very rational person. But anyway. So yeah, I think like, you know, it's respectful to like, if you, let's say, this is the thing. People like to cast names on other people when they do the same exact shit, or they're here for the same exact reasons, right? Like if something was so bizarre, oh, you're weird, or you're bizarre, you're a freak. If that was the case, what drew you in, right? So this video is for people who are very comfortable in their sexuality and respectful. We're going to have a respectful, interactive discussion. Feel free to jump on in, express your thoughts, right? We're going to have fun with this. So I want to read some comments that were left on a video that I made on March 27th, 2020, yo. Yo, this was like 4 days before I moved back to New York City. I moved back to New York City on April 1st, April Fool's Day. Like, what in the hell was I thinking? But that's a whole nother story. I was in LA, and I was wearing the same exact thing that I'm wearing now, but I did switch out the shirt. So you guys got to go back and watch that video if you have not watched it. It's entitled Straight Men Who Enjoy Strap-On Anal Sex. I don't remember how I got inspired to this topic, that topic anyway. But I know it was like a follow-up to a previous video that I made I posed a question. I said, I think, do men who enjoy strap-on anal sex, like, are they gay, right? I think one of my subscribers was asking that question, and they just wanted me to kind of talk about it. I can't remember. Go back. That was like over a year ago. So, I'm going to read some of the comments, and then we're just going to kind of dive into this discussion on talking about alternative sexual lifestyle and activities, and I'm going to disclose some personal stories that I've already talked about before, but I don't mind sharing with you guys on how, you know, I wouldn't say persuaded my partner, but, you know, like you introduce something. Because something is new to a person. They don't know what it is, right? Like they never heard of it before. And so things that we aren't familiar with, we are more reluctant to engage in, to participate in, because why? We're not familiar with it, right? We haven't been exposed to it. It looks foreign to us. It's different, right? So I'm going to talk about that. And I want you guys to share too. Like, I think also the reason why I'm doing this video, because I have received a number of video topic requests, like around the idea of, and it was specifically targeted towards cuckolding, but this can apply, I think, to a general audience, or sexual interest, right? Where people, one partner in the relationship is interested in engaging in an activity, right? While the other partner, they're questioning, like, I don't know if my partner is interested, and I'm a bit nervous or fearful to share this with them because I'm afraid of how they're going to react. So this is why I'm making this video, because I feel like it shouldn't have to be that way. Like, we shouldn't be made to feel shame or afraid to discuss and engage in activities that bring us pleasure. I mean, that sounds like robbery, I think, to the human existence, if you ask me. Because we are on this earth for a very limited amount of time. I'm not going to say short, I'll say limited, right? And during that span of time, I feel like we deserve to live life to the fullest. We talk about that, right? Let's live life to the fullest. And people do it in many different areas of their life. When it comes to pursuing their career, their dream job. And it's funny because there's this thing now that I saw a meme that said, I don't want to dream about working, so there's no such thing as a dream job. But people invest time and energy into living their life to the fullest when it comes to everything else except for usually one aspect of their life, and they struggle with that sometimes. And you know, sometimes in a broader sense, it goes down to it boils down to relationships, right? But even in a more narrow sense of the experience is about the sexual relationship, right? Or you know, their sex life, and they have these fantasies. Many people have fantasies that they never really get to manifest. So I think it's a robbery. So in this video, I'm going to read these comments first, and then we'll expand on the discussion. on the video where I talk about straight men who enjoy strap-on anal sex. Let's see here. And who want their female partner, significant other, or wife to use a strap-on. Is that considered gay? You know, that's the main question here. Okay, so that's I had to figure out what I was talking about. Yeah, so that was pretty much the question, right? That I was addressing in this video. And I was reading the comments from the very first video that I made on the topic, right? And so here are the responses, which I can appreciate, actually, that most people, and I don't know if it's the way YouTube algorithm is set up, where they show my video to people who are more sexually comfortable, right, and solidified in their sexuality, perhaps, right? Because when you read the comments, most of the comments, people were very respectful and very democratic in their responses. Okay, so someone says, not gay at all. Feels amazing. My wife and I love it, right? But then, of course, there were people who were being offensive, which I didn't catch this before, but I should block and delete. But sometimes some comments kind of can stir the conversation, so sometimes I leave comments there. Someone replied to his comment and said, another man even better. Someone also replied to his comment to say, not gay, we love it too, sometimes though. So someone commented and said, I bet she would be great at it. She, I guess, as in me? Would I be great? Now, I never did it, but I'm going to talk about my personal experience with my, one of my partners, right? I never actually, like, fucked the guy in the ass. I don't think I have a desire to necessarily. Someone says, I see you are a smart woman. So, someone says, if a man is homophobic and has homosexual tendencies, we'll say yes. I don't know what the hell he means. Definitely love being pegged. Someone say, you black or white? White. Why does that matter? But I guess people want to kind of get an orientation of the context, like what I guess could motivate a person, or what type of people perhaps would be more open to engaging in this alternative lifestyle. And of course there's a stereotype of white people that, oh, watch some white people shit, right? More white people are more inclined to be sexually free, open. So someone else says, you beautiful black queen. He watches like my videos. So that's like his phrase that he comments like on all of my videos. Someone says, definitely isn't gay. Another person says, it's okay to be pegged if she cool with it. Love is love. Alright. Alright. So this person has to give a synopsis of what homosexuality is, right? So this next person says, and let me know what y'all think about this. The definition of gay, homosexual, is a male attracted to a male or a female attracted to a female. Same sex. A dude that gets strapped by a chick is just a dude who likes getting strapped by a chick. It's like saying hood dudes, in parentheses, he's put in Atlanta. What? Hood dudes got to be in Atlanta. But whatever. Who wears female skinny jeans sagging with pink socks and flip-flops are gay. When in actuality, they just like dressing like girls. Like the mind automatically does this stereotyping thing, right? The mind, like subconsciously, it's not really something that we do on a conscious level, which we can, right? We can navigate our thought process and take control of what thought comes to our mind when we see a certain stimulus, right? We can make sense of it on a conscious, rational level. But what the subconscious mind does is that it automatically, quickly too, I'm talking about within probably milliseconds, like very quickly assigns a label to things that we perceive in our environment, right? So this person painted a picture to say, for example, hood dude, hood I guess means black, who wears female skinny jeans. You can visualize this, right? Sagging with pink socks and flip-flops. The mind automatically makes the association. Oh, they're gay. And I think obviously, a lot of researchers in psychology have explained it to say that we do this, like the mind does it out of survival. It's a survival instinct. That's the reason why we stereotype. The mind stereotypes, right? But then the rational mind, because there are different layers of our mind, right? There's a subconscious mind that we really don't have much control over. It's just kind of like works for us automatically. It's like the part of the autonomic system, right? Like our heart and our, like some parts of our body are just, they operate on their own, right? You shouldn't really think much about your heartbeat. It just kind of beats. The same thing with your subconscious mind, right? It processes information and it just works. And that's where like the fight or fight response, is situated. Like in our subconscious mind, it just is there for a reason. And the way that it operates it serves a purpose, right? And so, but in this situation, I think that what I was hinting at in this video on men who enjoy strap-on anal sex is that I think it would serve us to take some time to really think. I like to think things out, right? Because it's one thing like when the mind like assumes things. It's another thing when you take that thought, right, that assumption, and really begin to break it down, right? Really begin to analyze it and question. Don't be so quick to stereotype, right? The mind does that. But when it does that, like, be aware of it, right? Be aware of that thought that pops up in your mind when you see, for example, a man in skinny jeans and wearing pink socks and flip-flops, right? The mind automatically is like, oh, he's gay. I mean, I'm pausing, right? I'm spending a lot of time, I guess, on this because I'm thinking things out right now. Like, I'm thinking it out, right? And I'm not excluded from this. I think my own mind has been guilty of it because it's just a matter of conditioning, right? It's just a matter of how we have been conditioned in our society. Like, images, right? When we see certain images, this is a visualization. It has been paired with a name, a label. That's just what's embedded in our mind. So when you see it, you automatically think that. It's classical conditioning. That's what classical conditioning is. Right? So it's the same thing like with black people and the idea of we're violent when we're inundated with messages, these visual messages of seeing a black person. And a lot of news stations do this, like they purposefully do this, right, where they show crime in low income neighborhoods, and they put a picture of a black man, like, oh, we're looking for this person is a suspect, they broke into a store. Like, when you see those images constantly on a constant basis, that's what becomes like your reality, and they're linked together. So the mind automatically makes that association when you're in a different environment, right? When you're not watching the news, you can just be freaking on the beach walking down the beach, right, enjoying your drink, and you see a black person and you automatically think, danger, 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 right? This is the same scenario. When I say you, I really mean like your subconscious mind, right? Which you don't necessarily have control over, but you can have control over when it becomes conscious, right? Making the unconscious conscious. I'm getting like psychoanalytic here, but you guys get the picture. So this same person also goes on to say, when in actuality, they just like dressing like girls. Cross-dressing. But the actual definition of gay is being physically attracted to the same sex. Right? And that's true too. Like, sometimes we just kind of lump gay people all in one category, and you're like, okay, if they dress a certain way, they talk a certain way, they act a certain way, they affiliate themselves with certain types of people, then they must be gay. I even made this statement on my social media page, right? Where this was around the, I think the gay parade here in New York several weeks ago. And I like to wear different colors, as you guys can clearly see, right? And it's funny because I noticed just looking at people's reactions, like people automatically assume a thing just because you're dressed a certain way, the rainbow colors, right? I think I had on a dress and it was like kind of rainbow color somewhat. And people automatically think like, okay, you're gay. When that's not even the case. It's just, I like different colors. But in reply to this comment, this person says, whatever makes you sleep better at night. And he had like the laughing faces, right? Because he, I guess, assumes that the person is trying to rationalize being gay or justify, not being gay, saying that you can dress a certain way and still not be gay, shall I say. Another person replied to that comment and said, you like a guy tapping your butt, nothing wrong with that. That's not what he said though. And the video is not even about a guy tapping another guy's butt. The video is about men enjoying strap-on anal sex. It's strap-on, right? Who usually wears strap-on? I mean, a guy can wear a strap-on, right? Especially if he's not, like, well endowed. Or, just to heighten the sexual sensitivity, the experience, right? Even if a guy is well endowed, men can put on strap-ons to just increase that degree of stimulation there, with the strap-on. Because what? A strap-on is not going to go soft. It's not going to go, it's hard. It's just hard forever, right? Okay. So someone else also says, better question, how is it not gay? You would have to ask yourself, how is it that this dude even got a taste for this type of thing in the first place? Also, he's having an object shaped exactly like a man's rod pump in and out of him, and he enjoys it? Enough said. Pause. What do y'all think? He continues to say, I wonder how these guys even get the nerve to ask their women to do this to them. How do their women feel after doing this to them? How do they still look at them the same after that? Any sister getting asked by their man for this, don't be surprised when he gets caught with a dude or leaves you for a dude. You were an accessory to it. Oh, you're using like criminal terminology. You're accessory, like it's a crime. Just like sisters who cheer on gay dudes while they twerk or act effeminate and then turn around and say, where are all the real men at? Madness. Maybe he has a point. I think he's thinking along the lines of the idea of priming. And that a woman who agrees to participate in pegging with her heterosexual partner, male partner, that the act in and of itself is priming him for the real deal. People are thinking far ahead, right, to say that eventually he gonna want the real thing. Eventually. What do y'all think? I don't know. That's why it's kind of debatable, because it's like I've heard that the male's G spot is in the rectum, like near in that part, in that vicinity of his rectum, right? Like his G spot is there, and so of course we know there are other ways that a guy can reach an orgasm. The typical vanilla way of just having intercourse with a woman, vaginal intercourse, right? But there's so many different erogenous zones. There's so many different parts of a person's anatomy, a male and female's anatomy, that they could reach orgasm, that they can gain pleasure from. And they've just experimented with that and they like it, right? And they're with a woman and they want her to please them in that way. Does it make them gay? Does it mean that he likes another man? Alright, so in reply to that, someone says, what are you talking about? I don't even understand what you are trying to say. Spreading the gay agenda? What? How am I spreading the gay agenda when I am against the gay agenda? Okay, so this is the same comment. I think someone had indicated that he was trying to spread the gay agenda. Alright, you okay over there? How did you get that from what I wrote? You're right, better to have the real thing, someone else says. Alright, so another person says, dudes are definitely weird. I'm not into none of that. I feel men who do that are really homosexuals. Someone replies, you do know that having this done switches roles and the man is a dominant one, right? Women already know being penetrated gives them the power, which is why many men try their best to be on their game when getting busy. Then he replies, if you're getting penetrated, you're a man, just be honest and say, I'm bi or gay. Because what man that's straight in their right mind is on that is weird. Weird. So anyway, so let's talk. I read those comments to kind of give the perspective, right, of what I'm going to say in the remainder of this video. Which is already clear in your mind, right? So, we all have ideas that pop up in our mind. Fantasies, right? Things that we would like to do. But then there is a blockage, right? There is reservations. There are inhibitions that we feel that tell us, no, don't do that. Don't do that, right? And we wonder, where do those inhibitions come from? Like, what makes a person inhibited, right? What stops them from participating in certain things? And you guys can see from the comments that, our society has done a really good job at making certain behaviors to be perceived as an abomination, evil, a sin, a crime. Even one person alluded to that the woman is being an accessory, right, to this activity. People use the words weird and, oh, you're a freak, and it's no wonder why people feel very uncomfortable. even when you look at heterosexual sex. So Dwayne says, I've never been penetrated, but I've had it licked, which was, oh, you say awesome. Okay, say awesome. We're going to talk about that too. But even when you think about heterosexual sex, right, it's just a lot of men, and y'all men see it's a double-edged sword, right? Because you want women to have sex with y'all. Sometimes even on the first date, just like, oh, don't worry about what other men think. Because women are like, well, I don't want to be perceived as a hoe. And then men be like, well, don't worry about you. I don't look at you as a hoe. But then they turn around and say that, oh, she's a freak. She's a hoe. Men do a really good job at shaming women. And they want to say, oh, she's sexually promiscuous. But it's just like it takes two to tango, right? So men have this desire to want to have sex with a woman. We're talking about premarital sex. We're not talking about within the confines of marriage. You want a woman to participate, but at the same time, women have been shamed for many, many years, right? And women have been taught to look at their virginity as this thing that they just gotta hold on to very tight. And once they have sex with a man, they lose their virginity. It's like they're giving away themselves, right? Whatever. I mean, I understand the purpose of that. The idea of chastity, right? But what if it's a woman's desire to just want to explore her sexuality? The same thing that men do. Like, what if that's just what she's driven to do? Should she be made to look at herself or her vagina as an object that she's giving away? When you think about it, like, even religion has pretty much played a significant role in objectifying women. To say, oh, you're giving yourself away, as how can you give, like, your vagina is you, you're part of your, like, this is all one right here, right? You're not giving anything away. It's still yours. You're just having a mutual exchange. It's not even really an exchange, right? It's just like you are engaged. Help me, guys. You're engaged in this activity, intercourse. It's mutual. No one is really giving anyone anything. I mean, you're giving each other pleasure, but you're not giving your body part away. You're not giving your chastity away, your virginity away, your pussy away. You still have your pussy. You didn't give it away. Right? So it's like when a woman has sex with a man, what automatically happens? And she can have sex with a man that she loves. She feels bad about it. This is a psychological problem that she has to wrestle with internally, right? Because she feels like she has lost something. She feels bad. She feels depressed. And you wonder, like, men will have sex with a woman, right? Fuck the dog shit out of her, and then wonder, like, damn, what's wrong with you? Did you not enjoy it? And they start, like, questioning their own performance because they're looking at her like, what's wrong with you? She could have enjoyed it, but she could have enjoyed it on a physical level, but on a psychological, emotional level, perhaps she's feeling like she gave something away, right? She's feeling like she lost something. We got to change that thinking. You agree? Yes, Messiness, I'm telling you. Like, I want to do workshops, but okay, I remember this being an issue at our prac together, and you were the only ones who agreed, and everybody else was on their chastity shit. You gotta remind me, I don't even remember that. It's just like, usually when the past is the past, I leave the past in the past, and I be so far removed from it. But that's even within heterosexual sex, right? So when you're thinking about, like, and we're still talking about heterosexual sex, like doing alternative things, right? I just think that we as adults, have to get to a point where we can have conversations about I see. I know who you are, girl. I know who you are. I'm talking about, remind me of what the content of the discussion was that we were talking about in our meeting. Okay, we can talk about it here. It's okay. Look who we got the social norms from, though. Yeah, it's just, to me, it's bothersome because it's almost like we put ourselves in a sexual prison, right? And I get people messaging me, obviously in response to the videos that I'm making. They're like, how can I get my partner to engage in different activities, different sexual activities? And it's just like, you want to have fun, you want to explore, and we can do this in a safe way. But then people put themselves in this box, right? We put ourselves in a chain, like we tie ourselves up, and we're like, no, we're not going to do that. So I want to talk about how can we move past that? How can you move past that with your partner? And I've addressed this previously too. I've answered this specifically when I was talking about cuckolding, because I have a good number of white men who follow me, and they are very fascinated with cuckolding, getting their wife, their female partner, to participate in sexual activities with other men. And these men are typically black men, right? And they're like, how can I get my partner to do this? Like, I want it to be for her gratification, but I really want it to be for my gratification too, right? It's like, it's really for the man's gratification, because if the woman is not really into it, which you would be surprised, though. I talked about this before. You will be surprised, like, what women will be into. I think it starts with the man, because a lot of men are the ones who have done the shaming. We just got to keep it real. Women don't really shame. Now we do, but it really comes from the men. Over 400 years of white men seeing the standard of beauty, sex, ownership, money, war. It's generational. Yeah. Say more about that, Massanissa. Say more about that. So, I remember, I'm going to give an example. I like giving examples, right? I remember with my most recent partner, long-term relationship that I was in, right, for 3 years. Now, he was dominant. He was naturally dominant, that's what gravitated me towards him, and like, we clicked. Like, we felt it was kind of like love at first sight on the first day we met, and we moved in and kind of hit it off like really quickly, right? Because our energies kind of complemented each other. So I like that about him. I also like that he was open. I think, and this is a question I also want to ask you, who do you think is more open to engaging in alternative sexual activities? I guess it really depends on what the alternative sexual activity is, right? Because I would like to say, just like off first glance, I would like to say men are more sexually open than women. But I guess it would depend on the activity, right? So you guys know, maybe you don't know, I'm a practitioner of BDSM. Like, that's me, right? Like, that's just who I am. I identify as submissive. I think it also ties into the reason I've said this before, like, why it's difficult for me to find a partner, because certain things turn me on, right? So certain things I think have to be in place in a relationship just to get my interest, right? I like dominant men. I like men who take the lead, right? And it's beyond the bedroom for me, right? It's deeper than just, having sex in the bedroom and a man just being sexually dominant. It's a mindset, right? It's an attitude. It plays out day to day. That's just what turns me on. And so in my last relationship, part of me being submissive, I like to be in bondage. I like to, that turns me on. I like to be in chains, and I like to, I think it's a psychological domination, really, the being in chains and, being spanked. And I was not nervous to share this with my partner. Like, I just came right out. I mean, not on the first day. But I'm a person, like, you guys can see, like, I like to talk. So I'll express myself, right? And, you know, he was open. He was receptive to hearing, like, who I am. Because we were getting to know each other. And I remember introducing this to him. Now, at the time, I had already written my autobiography. So, and this is something that, like, I know that this guy, me and him was, like, close. We had to be close, because I don't just let anybody read my freaking autobiography, especially that it's not even published, right? So, I let him read my autobiography, and I also let him read a hard copy of my book, Dying to Submit. These are manuscripts, right, that I have not yet published. Now, the Dying to Submit, that is published digitally, but that's not the full story, right? It's on my website. So I let him read it, and he was just like, like he was turned on by it, right? So I'm like, all right, that's a good sign. And him being turned on by it, like, he was motivated. That motivated him to want to engage. So I think sometimes, like, in our mind, we have this preconceived notion that our partner is not going to be for it. Like, nah, they ain't gonna be interested in that, right? But there's ways that you can introduce it. And the way I've talked about this previously in other videos is that it's a stepwise progression, right? So whatever the activity is, and there's like endless different types of alternative sexual activities, right? We're talking about bonding. This is within BDSM, right? BDSM is kind of like the umbrella for all different types of alternative shit that people can do. At least that's how I conceptualize it, right? But we're talking about bondage, spanking. And I read a whole, like, top 100 list of fetishes. I made a whole video about this a couple months ago. People like to get peed on, and I mean, pegging. It's like, you guys name some things, right? It's like a whole list of things. And whatever that alternative sexual activity is, I said that you can introduce it to your partner. It's different ways. For me, my introduction was through my own writing, through a book, right, that I showed my partner. He was reading a story, fictional story based on a true life experience, and he's reading it. And I'm looking at his reaction. He's just like, it was turning him on, yo. He was getting turned on to the point I think he wanted to have sex. It's like, damn, okay. But that's the whole point, right? That's the whole point of erotica. Erotica does not turn you. It's not do something. Erotica doesn't do something within you, right? On a sexual level, like, it didn't serve its purpose. You say, I am. Stop playing. I am too. But Dom, we need to talk. You didn't even know that. Yes. I guess because, like, I don't really bring it into my professional life necessarily. But it's out there. It's public. You have a whole website. You know. And my advisor, my dissertation chair, like, they knew about it early on, my first year in the program. You know, and they learned about it through, other students who had Googled me, and they were like, Danielle has a website. They call, like, trying to snitch on me, right? Danielle has a website, and she got this stuff on her website. I'm like, I'm a grown-ass woman. Hello? You know, but these are, like, fellow psychologists or budding psychologists who were looking at my website, content on my website, and developing their own perception of me based on what they saw, which was a negative perception, right? And they brought it to, like, the higher ups within my PhD program and my dissertation chair, my advisor, who later became my dissertation chair. You know, we had to talk about it. She is definitely more welcoming and more respectful to alternative lifestyle because she is LGBT. Right? She's a white woman, but she's LGBT. So I'm like, she got my back. They trying to write your girl off, but she got my back. So I felt good about that. Yes, you can DM me. Yes. But yeah. So going back to, like, me introducing that to my partner at the time, you know, he was turned on. But there are other ways. You know, you can, like, show videos, porn. I don't know. The porn is a way, I think, you know, people kind of, like, couples watch porn together and they share, like, different activities. But this is my thing against porn, because I feel like it could just be better production. Like, I feel like most porn is just crappy ass production. I'm saying this from like the mindset of a filmmaker, right? It's just crappy ass production. They don't have much of a storyline. It's just like do before you know it, they're fucking. That to me doesn't really turn me on. I think that's why I kind of like when and if I do watch porn, it's like BDSM porn. BDSM porn is a little bit different, because if you really watch BDSM porn, you will see it's not really much like intercourse happening, right? It's sexual activities happen, but it's more like a mind thing, yo. And you see a lot of bondage, women in bondage, and the man is just like, titillating the woman and, stimulating different erogenous zones within her and creating like this power dynamic, right? You see like the power exchange happening where she's losing control, she's giving up that control to the master. And of course, it gets to the point where he pleasures her, sexually, and there is some penetration, but it's usually, sometimes, more often than not, it's not like him inserting his penis in her. It's like, he's using different toys and things like that, and the focus is really on her. So it's been a very long time since I watched BDSM porn, but I kind of like that because it's like a build up to it, and it's kind of creating like a story. I like that. Love making, it's not even about love making necessarily, it's just a story. Like, the dynamic has to be, I like the dynamic, it has to be created first before the sexual part. It's the story for me. Yes, to drop all the social norms and traditions and create new ones. Yeah, it's just like we have to like recondition our minds, which is not easy, because a lot of this conditioning began early on. I was born and raised in a church, even though I'm very open to different perspectives, and I feel very comfortable in my sexuality. It doesn't negate the fact that, I do have a certain template that was embedded in me growing up in a 2-parent household. My mom and dad were both Christian. We went to church, So it's just like competing against those messages that we have been taught, in our own family, and then even in society, looking at the media and, just even when I go live and make videos and I have people jumping on my videos, hearing what I'm discussing, and they'll be like, oh, you a freak. And that, people don't understand, like, words carry power. They have meaning, and that meaning carries power, right? And so, yes, although I'm a free-thinking individual and I have agency over my own thoughts and my decisions and my own actions, it's not to say that I'm not impacted by words. I can't say that, right? I'm going to do what I want to do anyway, but words carry meaning. And understanding meaning of words, yeah, people are shaped by what other people say, right? And so, yes, I take offense to that. I've said to, you guys publicly where, when people get on my post, they're like, oh, you a freak, or oh, you're weird, or oh, you wild as fuck. It's just like, how is that wild? I'm not a wild person. I don't look at myself as a wild person, right? But that is shaping behavior, right? You shape another person's behavior with words, because you're communicating to them that, okay, what they just said, what that person just said, what I just said is not acceptable, right? And it's wrong. And people keep repeating it, and it's just like, no, not that I'm looking for acceptance, but it's just, we have to be careful with words, right? Words carry spells, right? And I'm careful what comes into my subconscious mind. Alright, I'll catch you later. So, I think that's interesting, but yeah, so going back to my relationship with my partner, right? He was very fascinated, and it was just, I was glad that he was open to that experience. and we did it. We experimented. We did it, right? Like, you know, he tied me up, and I talked about this before, so this isn't new to me. But maybe for some of you guys who are hearing it for the first time, I get it. I understand, right? Everyone is human. So people tend to have wow reactions when they hear something or see something that they haven't seen before. It's just like, oh my gosh. But yeah, I've made a whole video on this and what that experience was like. You know, just allowing my partner to take full control of me in that moment, right? In the bedroom, and the beating, right? And me kind of guiding him to the intensity, with the intensity of how I wanted to be beat, right? And I talked about, okay, the source of this too, because a lot of people wonder, like, okay, what would make a woman want to be beaten like that, right? Like, so of course, I don't really want to talk about that necessarily here in this video, but I've talked about that before, so you guys can go, I don't remember the title of the video, but I'll try to find it and I can drop the link below, where I have talked about the etiology, I guess you can say, of why I'm, you know, have this attraction towards BDSM beatings, right? But it's a whole dynamic, and it's just, I felt so relieved, like, after. It's just like, and you know, it was like, I look at it as a gift. Like, he gave that gift to me, like, numerous times. And I remember for my, I don't know which birthday this was. Oh my gosh, 32nd birthday, 31st, one of those, I don't know. But I took him to an underground BDSM party, like a club. And it was like by private invite only. And it's just like, that was like me further introducing him to the world, or my world, right, of BDSM, and he was for the shit. Like, he was with the shits, right? But that's just an example. It's just like, I don't think it's necessarily difficult to introduce a partner, but that's one direction, right? That's a woman introducing a man. Now, let's say if it was reversed, where, you know, a man had these proclivities towards alternative sexual activities, like, how likely would a woman be willing to engage? Pegging, for example. Hold on, let me take a swig of my water. In pegging, for example, it's just like, And I don't think it's that difficult. I think people make things difficult, but you just have, it's like a baby. It's like a child. I hope this is a good reference. But it's like a child, right? Like a child on their first day of school. Now, every child is different, right? Some children run away from their parents and they run to this new opportunity, this new experience, and this new world of being in a classroom and being introduced to socialization with their other peers, right? And then some children, it's a traumatic experience for them. They are terrified. They scream. They're like, what? They're not used to that separation from their mother like that. Into a world where they are around complete strangers. Strangers who they will eventually get to know, of course. But they are terrified. They break down and they cry. Because it's traumatic for them. Now, I kind of make that comparison because it's like the same thing. We're talking about introducing a person to a new world. Like, what do you expect? This is something new. This activity is something new. Like, if a man is wanting his female partner to peg him, she's never done it before, let alone have really been exposed to the idea of pegging, right? It has never become part of her radar, right? And you're just like, out of the blue, want her to do this. I don't think that's how it goes, right? You gotta like kind of stepwise her into that sense of comfortability and being able to do the actual act. Now, I'm gonna give one more example before I end this video, and feel free, you guys, to leave your comments below. But I also remember, I like to have fun. This is just me. It's my personality, like in relationships. And so I also like to test too. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one. Women, we be testing men, you know. Now some men, they ain't for that shit. They like, don't be testing me like that. And I told this story before how like I tested my partner, dominant alpha man, Jamaican. Like both of his parents were born in Jamaica. He was born in New York. He's from Brooklyn. So 100% heterosexual, let's just say that, right? Ain't with that so-called gay shit. But, you know, I don't look at it necessarily as gay shit, right? I just look at it like, let's just explore. And so I remember there were times where I would kind of press the boundaries a little bit. And, you know, this is when we're very comfortable, shall I say. Very comfortable, you know, just enjoying each other's company. We live together. We lived together, from day one of our relationship for an entire 3 years that we were together. That wasn't a very intense relationship. That was my last serious relationship. But we had fun. And we really got to know each other. And I remember just in bed, right? And, it's like my fingers were just exploring his body. You know, just traveling alongside, you know, the curves and crevices of his body. And I remember, I'll allow my fingers to go near his anus. First his butt, which I don't think most men, have an issue with a woman touching your butt. Some men feel uncomfortable. Like, hold on, right? Now, men, y'all be smacking women's butts all the time. Right? Grabbing it. But then when a woman does that, because some men's butt bigger than the woman. And honestly, my ex butt was bigger than my shit, right? So it's like, who don't want to grab it, right? So I remember just I used to play with his butt, you know, just rubbing, caressing. And then a few times, you know, my fingers would go around, just dance around his anus. I'm laughing because it's the reaction that he gave me that is funny to me. It's funny. Because it's like a knee-jerk reaction, right? It's a reflex. It's hardwired, automatically into a man's DNA, I guess, right? Probably no matter if he's homosexual or heterosexual. Say right, grabbing a little too close to the hole. So he was okay with me caressing his butt, rubbing his butt, you know. And I think he was even okay with me dancing my fingers around his hole. But then you know, I just wanted to see his reaction to see okay, what would you do if I stuck it in there? And I did. I didn't jam it in, of course. I just kind of you know, I tamper with it a little bit, right? Just feeling my way. And I noticed twitch, little twitch. So I said this before. I think I talked about this in the actual video where I was reading the comments about, you know, the video on men who enjoy anal sex. By the way, my ex, he was not for that shit at all. And I wasn't really trying to get him to be for that shit. I think I like to experiment. I like to experiment, see what people's reactions are, right? Observe behavior. And so, it would depend, I guess, on his mood, because this wasn't the only time. It wasn't I did it one time and that was it. It was several times I experimented with this, right? And so he had different reactions. One reaction was a quick reflex and just quickly squinching his butt cheeks and moving my hand away, stop, chill out, you know. And of course I respect it. I stopped, right? But then there was another reaction where he was just completely relaxed. It was like just, it was completely relaxed. And I was able to go a little bit further, but I don't think I ever like put it in there. I just like played around it. And going back to your comment, right? You said that you have never been pegged, Dwayne, but you actually have had your hole licked. Your anus licked. And it felt awesome, you said. Now, you know why it feels awesome, right? Because if you're not used to something, like, you have very high sensitivity to it. And that's probably, it could have been your first time, number one. And also, I've heard that the anus has a lot of nerve endings down there. A lot. So, you're, of course, going to be highly sensitive to any kind of stimulation down there. Especially a tongue. Right? And it does feel good. I had it done to me, I think, one time. One time, yo. It felt so, I was like, oh my, first I was like, whoa, because I never had it done, so it just kind of caught me off guard when the guy went there, and I was just like, okay, but it felt so good. It's just like you can't even resist. It feels so good. Like, what are you gonna do, right? If it feels so good, like, why, like, come on, just accept it, right? It felt so good. So that just goes to say, like, you never really know, like, how your partner is going to respond to certain things. But I would definitely encourage people to just take it slow. You don't want to go shoving something up somebody's ass. Like, whoa, unless that's what they want, right? You know, definitely want to do that. It was your first time. I figure it's just like, yeah, you know, the first time experience is always awesome. It's just like, right? Until you develop a tolerance for it, you know, and then that level of sensitivity, it kind of decreases, right? You don't have that much, as you know, your sensitivity to that sensation isn't as heightened as it would have been on your first time if you've done it like 10 times already. But it's fun though. Like, I just like to encourage people to step outside the box, and it's okay. For me, it's not even thinking about social norms. That never really crossed my, I can care less about social norms. I can care less about what other people are doing, right? It's about what I choose to do in my own household with my partner. And that's where I think narcissism is a good thing. It's kind of like that self-centeredness, right? It's a good thing, that aspect, right? You know, sometimes we like to demonize certain characteristics of a person or a personality type, but it's really on a spectrum, right? And I think certain aspects of narcissism, especially when it comes to just being self-centered, like valuing you and attending to what it is you want, right? Irrespective of what the fuck the world is doing around you. Who cares what they're doing? Like, are you happy? You know? Are you enjoying yourself? And I said this before. I said this so many times where it's just like we rob ourselves of our own happiness because of conditioning. And what is that conditioning doing for you, though? It's different if, like, okay, it's helping you, right? You're benefiting from this conditioning and this restriction, this inhibition towards engaging in different activities. If it's serving you well, then all right, it serves a purpose, but you gotta weigh, like, the cost and benefit of that. Like, what is it costing you? Sexual freedom, your happiness, because our happiness is linked to our ability to be able to just be free and to do what you were naturally inclined to do, right? When you put a hold on nature, natural instincts to just be, that could inhibit your happiness. This is how it ties into mental health here. There's a mental health aspect to everything. I can see the mental health aspect in everything, right? And so I'm curious to hear what you guys think. Feel free to share your comments below. I can go on and on with this topic. But if you want me to address a more specific alternative sexual activity other than cuckolding, because I'm cuckolded out, y'all. Other than cuckolding, please send me an email. Visit my website. Use the contact page, DanielleLeach.com. Send me an email and just say, hey, can you talk about da 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 da? Right? I'll talk about it. But it helps. You know what makes a really good video discussion is when you guys send me these emails that have context to them. You will remain anonymous, so you can go in depth to talk about what the context is, like why do you even want me to talk about this in the first place, right? Like, set the context, set the stage for the video discussion. You know, give a little bit of information about who you are. Not like identifying information like name and all of that, but you can say your age, you know, and if you're married or single, just give us some context here. And I'm for it. It has to do with the relationship also. People may feel like their business will be told. Yeah. So I think I said this, maybe more so implied it, that even like with my partner that I was just telling you guys about, we had a very like solid relationship. Like, it kind of happened naturally, just from day one. We just kind of clicked. So it was easy to kind of go with that, right? Like, he was just as curious and interested in me as I was in him, right? When you like have a fascination for wanting to get to know a person, and that fascination is reciprocated by their fascination and wanting to get to know you, like, the sky is the limit. That's what you call like love, right? You know, if you see anything else, I don't know. If there's anything else outside of that, sometimes I question, right? Like, does this person really love you? Or, you know, are y'all really soulmates? Are y'all really compatible? If you're messaging me, telling me that you're concerned about your partner being able to satisfy you in different ways, like, I don't know, it makes you question. You're concerned about their willingness to satisfy you is one thing. That, okay, you're not satisfied because something isn't happening. But are they even willing? Do they have a curiosity? Like, I don't know. Everybody's relationship looks different. Love looks different. But I'm just like, the way I see it, you know, there's not a thirst to want to get to know a person, to want to, you know, satisfy them. Right? To just want to be in their world and vice versa. That's, to me, what love is like, right? That's what love looks like. But on that note, I'm going to end this video. Catch you guys later. Please drop your comments below. Share this video. It has been great. I think it's just as simple as just do it. I'll catch you guys later. Love you guys. Bye.